seconds here, and then I'm going to go in. And then if you are watching afterwards, you will be team replay. Okay. So, all right, here we go. Hi from London. Nice to have you here. Thank you for tuning in. I think, what time is it here now? It's probably about 7 or 8 p.m. there in London. Hi, Jerome from Michigan. Hi, Ginny from Orlando. Rita from British Columbia, nice to have you here. We'll give this another few seconds and then I'll jump in. And hopefully you guys may have some questions too. But I'm discussing today about innovative leadership. It's the title of our latest newsletter. And I've received some questions on it. And so I've linked the newsletter, the complete newsletter link here on LinkedIn in the comments. So if you want to read the full thing, then feel free to go ahead. But that's what we're talking about today. Morocco, nice to have you here. We have an international viewer on this page, but thank you guys for being here. So I thought of innovative leadership as a topic because as we are drawing to the end of the year, I know companies and individuals are thinking about, 2024. And for the last 2 weeks, we have been talking a lot about ChatGPT. We spent 2 weeks on that because it's just so, how should I say? It's because it's everywhere I go. If I'm on my website, everything is so AI driven. And so we can't really escape the AI influence. And so we've talked for 2 weeks on embracing it, right? You're going to either be in two camps, right? Either embracing it or being left behind. So I'm not going to keep going over that. What I want to talk about today is innovative leadership. What does that look like? And I'm just going to pop up here on my screen again. Innovative leadership is about being visionary, taking risks, and adapting swiftly. It's not just keeping up with change, it's leading it. So just the word leading means that you're not at this point able to just sit back and watch the change happen. You have to be a part of that change. And so I shared in the newsletter that I recently met with a client. It was the CEO and 2 members of his leadership team. And as we were looking over 2024, we were talking about core values, because let's face it, many times we have core values in our organizations and they've been written there or copied from somebody else's core values, and they've been there for years, sometimes even decades. And no one really looks at them, just like the vision statement or the mission statement. People take it for granted. It's somewhere on a wall someplace, or maybe in a process book or procedures manual. But we stopped. The CEO wanted to stop, and we wanted to look at the core values, because the truth is you really should look at the values in your organization ever so often, because things change. 2020 to 2022, when we had that COVID pandemic, and the world of work changed forevermore, right? Before that, no one really spoke much about remote work. It was here in pockets, there in pockets. Now it is the way how we work, and companies are still finding it hard to bring people back in full time. And so thanks for that. We're leading change in enhancing with drone technology in construction. Exactly. So here, Spingar is here, is like an innovative leader, and is in construction. There is no industry at this point that is exempt from innovation or exempt from using drone or AI. I mean, we all have to embrace it. So what are some of the characteristics of an innovative leader? Well, it's being proactive. It's a proactive approach that involves embracing new ideas, experimenting with new technologies, and fostering a culture of continuous improvement. And I want to talk about the word culture, because as a leader, everything starts from the top. And so as I met with the CEO and his leadership team, and we were going through, what the core values were, one of the first things the CEO said was that he wanted the word innovation to be in, as in his core values. And so we talked about what that would look like. How would we live that out? What would have to be the culture in the organization for it to be an innovative organization? And I'll tell you, one of the big things is you have to have, if you want to be an innovative culture, you have to be a risk taker. Okay. You have to have a high tolerance for risk and a high tolerance for failure. So we talked about what that would look like, right? If you're going to have an innovative culture and you're bringing your team together and you're saying, hey, we want to be ahead of change. We want to be the first, in our class, best in our class. We want to, we want to be, we don't want to be reactive, we want to be proactive. That's going to involve a level of risks. And so there has to be that tolerance for mistakes. So if you're empowering your team to take risks because you want to be innovative, then when mistakes happen, there has to be that, tolerance for failure. So we included in that particular company's core values that failure is welcome. Okay. And it sounds weird, but if you don't include that, then people will be afraid to take risks, because if they fail, there will be some repercussions. Also, one of the other characteristics of innovative leadership is you have to navigate your changes successfully, right, and quickly. And so I say, in a marketplace that is bombarded daily with ChatGPT and other AI-related news, leaders can no longer delegate tech and turn a blind eye. So they must be fully engaged on how technology is impacting your organization and the world around them. So CEOs in the past, right? I know I myself, when I had my own, I was running a huge law practice and also a charity. And as a CEO, I would delegate tech, because I have so many, I'm dealing with payroll, I'm dealing with, customers, I'm dealing with all the big issues. And so I would delegate tech. The thing is nowadays, the CEOs of this day, post-pandemic, in this AI ran world, you can no longer just delegate tech and turn a blind eye. You have to also be technologically aware, right? You have to have more than just a cursory glance at tech. You have to, maybe you yourself need to take a course in AI or in the new technologies. It's not enough just to say my tech team will handle that. Our entire world is being impacted by technology, especially AI. Even if you go to, when you go to the doctor, you're going to be dealing with tech and AI. And we need to know, you as a leader need to know a little bit more about how the tech is being used in your office, how it can be used, and have more than just that cursory glance at the tech. Keyword quickly, if you miss a time slot in the market, it's gone. That's the thing with technology, Springard. Thank you for that. If you miss the time slot in the market, it is gone. And so innovative is a big word. And when I say a big word, the connotation there is that you are going to be quick, right? You're going to be ahead of the market. And so CEOs, I'm just saying to CEOs again, and leaders, managers, it's not okay just to delegate the tech and turn a blind eye. You need to have more deeper knowledge of that. One of the other characteristics I said was being visionary. Just the fact that you're trying to innovate kind of tells that you need to have vision, okay, and adaptability. So how being able to adapt to the changes almost every week, there's a new update, okay? There's a new update in tech. And so you have to be able to pivot quickly, adapt quickly. What we saw, of course, post-COVID or during COVID, is that companies that weren't able to adapt, especially with the tech, there was unfortunately so many businesses lost. Now, what we're seeing now is another wave of change. It's not a pandemic, but it's the era of AI and AI generated information and AI generated processes. And if you are not adapting quickly, you're going to lose the opportunities. And so as an innovative leader, I think it shouldn't, the term innovative leader shouldn't be set aside for certain people, for example, like Meta and Google. It should be every single leader should meet with their team and figure out a way how they can be more innovative in 2024. And this is what my company does. We meet with leaders, we meet with their teams, and we help them, through a process of, strategic a process of, okay, let's look at your core values again. Let's look at what you're trying to do, and how are you going to embrace your, the tech? Also, how are you going to change or integrate this in your company's culture? Again, like I said, it's one thing just to talk about it, is another thing to actually implement it and integrate it in the culture. One of the other things we talked about at this meeting with the CEO is empowering others. So, and I've mentioned it before, if you as a CEO or a leader or manager say to the team, we're going to be more innovative. Well, essentially what you're saying is, when you say the word we, is we're also putting some power and some autonomy in your hands. I'm a big fan of what we call intrapreneurship, not entrepreneur, right? Intrapreneur, which is really a company that allows team members, or at least gifted team members, to be mini entrepreneurs within the organization, right? So the company bears the risks, but they get the benefit of this creative thinking. And so companies who embrace intrapreneurship are very empowering, especially to their high talented, high performing, gifted people. And you don't have to be Google and Facebook to have those principles, right? You can be a company of 5 to 7 people, right? And still allow that space, that creative space, for your team members to be free and to generate and to offer and to implement some of their creative ideas. So if you want to be an innovative company, you're going to have to be a little bit more empowering of your employees. If there are any questions, I would love to hear your thoughts on what I'm saying so far. The next point I made in this article was about being open-minded, which is pretty much, it's a little bit nuanced when it comes to empowering and being open-minded. I have here being receptive to new ideas, even if they challenge the status quo. And this is where sometimes where the breakdown happens, right? So we says, okay, we're empowering everyone with their ideas, to come with their ideas, come with, their creative thoughts. We're going to be innovative. We're trying to be ahead of market. However, if that CEO, if that leader, if that manager, if that business owner is then closed off to ideas that goes against the status quo, it's going to be much more harder for that company to experience that innovation that they're seeking. So you have to also be open-minded. Okay, so there are some challenges to this, of course. Not all team members will go along. And that's just something that companies have to deal with when they make announcements for changes or improvements. Not all team members will go along. And hey, David, welcome. Not all team members will go along. So it's very important. I always talk about communication, right? You can never over communicate. And so whenever you as an organization or a leader or manager, whenever you are implementing new change that's going to affect the current status quo of the company, you have to, communicate. So if you are, let's say, trying to embrace technology at a, far more, a greater level than you've had before, there might be people who are fearing that they may lose their jobs. They may be fearing the learning curve. Well, address the fears and uncertainties, right? Communicate the benefits of innovation, and maybe leaders, you may have to invest in some retraining of your team, especially if you had good people who've been working with you for a while. You may want to invest in retraining your team. Quantity surveys, don't want to spend money in that. Yeah. Unfortunately, sometimes, like to your point, managers or leaders or owners, they see investment in development or in training or in even tech as a spend, but it's really an investment, and that's a mindset shift. That's when I work with leaders, it's all about the mindset. Sometimes you have, just like with a bow and arrow, you got to pull back a little bit for it to move forward. Sometimes, yes, you have to spend, and it may seem like, whoa, it's a loss. But if you stick to it, right? If you hang in there and you're investing in your people, and your people are your most important asset. If you're investing in your people and you're investing in the tech and you're working on your company's culture, you're going to see the rewards and you're going to see the ROI in no time. And a few last couple points I have here. Balancing innovation with your current core operations. As you're making changes, as you're trying to, let's say, embrace more tech in maybe a non-tech world, my suggestion is that you start with one initiative. You start with one initiative, get everyone around that, get the buy-in, see that all the way through to success before you implement another initiative, especially for the non-tech companies who are trying to go more tech. We can't do everything, all at once. But if you start with one initiative, then implement, let's see the success. That will give confidence to you and to your people, and you can try another initiative, try and implement another initiative. And so finally, again, creating that safe space for creativity is going to be important. People come to work, yes, they come for a salary, but it's where they spend a lot of time. And so if you can foster that culture where people can create, use their brain cells, as an organization leader, I'm telling you that those people who you allow to be creative, to be innovative, they're going to add a lot of value. They're going to add a lot more than what their salary and what you're paying for. And so it takes a mindset shift from leadership to be innovative, but innovation is where it's at for 2024 and beyond. I will take any questions. I'll leave a second here for any questions or comments, but that's pretty much, in a nutshell, what this article was about. I have linked the full article in the comments for the newsletter. Feel free to read it. Also, I will put my website here. Again, I'm an executive leadership coach. I work with leaders and their teams to work on culture, executive leadership, presence, team spirit, teamwork, team culture, all things related to, allowing the company to be far more effective than maybe they're currently experiencing. And you can, again, click on my website. I have a calendar. It's calendly.com/faith-based coach. I give a 30-minute, free consult where you can actually ask me any question as it relates to your business, as it relates to your leadership, as it relates to you maybe wanting to, your personal development. You can book a time on my calendar there, and I'd be happy to speak with you. I enjoy helping leaders becoming the best version of themselves and also for their organizations. All right. So I think that's it for today. Again, if you're watching and it's after 2:30 p.m. on Monday, 2:30 p.m. Eastern, your team replay, feel free to leave your comments or your questions, and I will be happy to respond in the feed. Until next week we'll have 2 guests on, and we're going to be discussing team culture. So I look forward to having you guys here. Thank you. It's a hopeful service for those who intend to be innovative. Thank you, David. You know, my hope, David, is that it will be most of the companies who want to be innovative, because the world has shifted so much in the last 2 and 3 years, the world of work, I should say, that if companies aren't embracing innovation, they are at risk of being left behind. They're at risk of losing employees. They're at risk for more of the quiet quitting. And so I think it's a really good opportunity at the end of the year for companies to really sit with their team, especially their leadership team, and truly look at 2024 with new lens. Like, how are we going to embrace AI? How are we going to use this to make our lives easier? Not to lay people off, but how are we going to use this to make our lives easier? How are we going to use this to be more competitive? Because your competition is using it. And so if you're not, you're being left behind. So thank you again, guys, for watching. And I'll see you next Monday. Thanks for your support of the Purpose Center Leadership page. Take care.